Pragya, you from Bagpat?
Yes, sir.
Anything specific about Bagpat which you think that someone should know who is unaware of Bagpat's legacy?
So Bagpat, the term Bagpat, it originated, it was earlier known as Vyaghrapat. Several centuries ago there were lots of tigers. Can we imagine just 60 kilometers from Delhi? There were lots of tigers there, but now there are none. And the speciality of Bagpat here is that it is very famous for its agro-based industries, rim-dhure, the ones which are used in tractors, in buggies and everything. So it is very famous for that. And it is famous because Hasnapur is nearby and around 50-60 kilometers from there. And then there is Barnawa is there, which is also a very famous historical spot. So it is famous for that. And agriculture especially, the biggest, it is very much famous for in the surrounding areas because of its watermelons and other vegetables as well.
You have a degree in BHMS.
Yes, sir.
Is there any real scientific basis to homeopathy?
Yes, sir, it is definitely, it's very much scientific.
In what sense? And how would you, for example, distinguish it from the science of allopathy? How do they really differ?
So, homeopathy is a relatively new science as compared to the other pathies like the allied system of medicines that we talk about. It is 200 years old. It was founded by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, and the basic principle that we use is that we treat on the basis of law of similars. We feel that our body has a vital force inside us.
My question is slightly different. I would like to know what is the empirical basis. You have certain principles, accept that. But is there any empirical basis in terms of, say, controlled experiments that have been carried out, etc., which would allow us to attribute some validity to homeopathy?
So the experiments have been carried out, and in the past 10-15 years there has been an increase in the experiments. There was a study by IIT Bombay around 2 or 3 years back in which they actually demonstrated that although our homeopathic medicines, they don't have any perceptible molecules of the medicines in them, but they demonstrated that the energy levels which were transferred when the medicine was percussed and by triturations, which can actually cause a difference. So it is just the beginning, and what I would like to say that it is the drawback of the science, the present day modern science, that it cannot show that how our medicines act. But for the past 200 years we have a lot of clinical provings and patient experiences which definitely prove that yes, homeopathy is an effective mode of science.
What is the government of India's attitude towards homeopathy and Ayurveda, etc.?
So things are improving, especially for the past 4-5 years. Definitely there has been an improvement. Earlier there was a lot of apathy regarding the same. Last year only the Department of Ayush, which was earlier just a mere department, has been accorded the status of a full-fledged ministry, and the government has also proposed.
Is there any role for Ayush in the NRHM?
Definitely. So Ayush can in fact become the backbone.
Is there any existing role?
Yes, sir, there is. There is.
What is it?
So presently under NRHM, Ayush practitioners, they are recruited, and especially at the PHC levels. And now there is also a proposal to post them at CHC levels as well. At the PHC levels, since we have a paucity of other trained manpower, the MBBS doctors are actually not willing to go there. So the Ayush practitioners are in fact providing the healthcare to the people, so that cases of medical negligence are less. The people are not forced to go to quacks. So they form the first line in the delivery of healthcare mechanism there. In fact, I was reading a report in a newspaper yesterday that in Karnataka there was an Ayush practitioner who was posted at a PHC for around 10-15 years. Then the government also posted an MBBS doctor there. The people, they refused to go to the MBBS doctor because for the past 15 years they have been going to the person, and a kind of a repo builds between them, and the person who's posted there for such a long period of time is much more aware of the problems of the area and the local customs and how to deal with the people and what the people need, and so he can deliver accordingly.
There is a general perception that the regulation of the medical profession in India is very poor. How far you agree with that?
So,
Medical profession in general, not just homeopathy, we're talking about, but should cover homeopathy also. Is there any regulation in homeopathy specifically?
yes, sir, we are.
What sort of regulation?
So, the Central Council of Homeopathy is a statutory body which takes care of the registration of the doctors, and it maintains a register and regarding the medical training, the educational institutions, and
What about things like malpractice, negligence, etc.?
so
Do they have any role here?
homeopathy.
No. Does the council have any role in dealing with allegations of malpractice, etc.?
Yes, sir, it definitely has a role. Proceedings are initiated if there is a complaint, and the name of the practitioner, it can be struck off from the records, and if there is a gross case of negligence, then he can also be
Are
prosecuted.
all those practicing homeopathy, do they really hold degrees? The impression is that many of them seem to be self-educated. They don't really have any. Is that part of the regulation?
So earlier it was that I have passed out from Nehru Homeopathic Medical College. Before 1992, our college used to offer a diploma, DHMS, Diploma in Homeopathic Medicine and Surgery. After that, it has become a bachelor course. Even prior to the diploma, 20 years prior to the diploma, there were not many colleges in homeopathy. So around 35-40 years back, people who were self-trained were also given the status of registered medical practitioners. So those people are still continuing, but that is only a very small fraction. At present, we churn out the largest number of medical graduates, of homeopathic medical graduates in the world. So right now, majority of the people who are practicing homeopathy are professionally qualified and are well equipped to do the same, because we also undergo a training of 5.5 years, and we for initial four years, the curriculum for us and the MBBS students is exactly the same. The only difference lies in the pharmacopoeia part. They read pharmacology and we read our other subjects like materia medica and repertory and organon. So I personally feel that if we are to play a very important role in the health sector, if we are imparted some capacity building trainings for like 6 months or for around a year or so, then we can actually help in solving the health problems of the country.
Are there any advanced degrees in homeopathy? For example, something like MDMS?
Yes,
or
sir.
something,
Yes, sir. We
what
have.
sort of areas would you specialize in? If you are going in for an advanced degree, what are the types of areas that are open?
So presently there are MDs in pediatric. Presently there is an MD in medicine. These are the things that I'm talking about, the conventional subjects. In homeopathic subjects also, there are 3 other fields where MD is done. So if we can start up in pediatrics and in medicine, then we can go in for community health. Can be an important area which can be undertaken in future, and especially the gynecological care, because I am a practicing doctor by profession right now, and 50 to 60% of my OPD at present comprises of females and pediatric cases. So that can be done in future.
Should Western UP become a separate state?
So there have been demands for that since a very long
What's your
time.
opinion? Do you think it should be made into a separate state? Let's not talk about demands. What is your opinion?
So I think yes, it should be, because it has been seen conventionally that a smaller unit can be governed much more better, administrative efficiency is there.
Why not individual districts becoming states? Why not say Bagpat as a separate state? If you are talking about small units.
So that would be practically impossible because it is too small an area.
So where do you draw the line? You're saying Western UP is small enough, Bagpat is not suitable. So where do you draw the line?
So ease of governance, public perception, and how you manage the resources, how well you can manage the resources, of the particular area and help it to develop in a proper manner. So that should be the sole criteria.
There was a time when cultural factors were considered in formation of new estates will be formed on the basis of narrative. For instance, education or creation of a separate Maharashtra from Bombay state or a separate Punjab, Iswa, and Haryana, where there was hardly any education in Haryana, but Punjabi Suba demand was there, and so on and so forth. So, while talking about the formation of new states, you did not consider the cultural factor. You mainly considered, ease of administration or resources. If I understand you correctly, you are more concerned about these factors rather than, culture as the basis of unity of a state or territorial integrity of a nation. So, would you like to consider this aspect also?
Yes, sir, it should be it is a very important factor which should be considered because it is ultimately the cultural ties which bind the people together and hold them together. And for any unit to be more cohesive, it has to have the social fabric of the area and the connection of the people with their roots. It
But
is
Western UP is Hindi speaking, as Central UP or as Eastern UP, all are Hindi speaking. Even Uttarakhand, which is carved out, is also Hindi speaking. So, what other cultural factor you have in mind when you talk about the need for a separate state of Western UP?
so in Hindi also there are different dialects which are spoken. So the dialect of Western UP is completely different from the one which is spoken even in Central UP. In Central UP, Brij Bhasha is spoken, and in Western UP it is a Khadi Boli. It is much more similar towards the Haryana dialect.
But the dialect of Western UP, Khari Boli, has been made a standard Hindi. My mother tongue is Maghi, but my father in my village in Bihar told us that every child in the household will speak Shuddh Hindi, Khari Boli. So, but you are talking about dialects, and dialects run into thousands. So, are we going to have thousands of states in India?
No, sir.
Then the dialect cannot be considered a factor for creation of a separate state. Think about it and apply your mind and settle for 2 or 3 most determining factors which you would consider for creating a separate state in Western UP or elsewhere. What would be, your bottom line for considering a demand? The factors on which you would finally settle on. Otherwise, you would not consider other factors. In administration, you have been mostly self-employed.
Sir, can I go back to the question?
Yeah.
So first of all, cultural issues definitely they have to be considered. I could not think of that. The similarity in dresses, the similarity in customs and language, it is a very important factor which should be considered. Secondly, the economic indicators, they should be considered. What is the status of the, how backward the state is, or what kind of resources are there at its disposal. They should be considered, so that if it is backward enough, then if it is created into a separate state, then there are more chances for its upliftment. And so these are the 2 points I can think of right now.
All right. You have been mostly self-employed.
Yes.
Why do you want to join administration?
So after I completed my graduation from Delhi University, I went back to my home state, although I had job offers in Delhi. The basic reason was that since my childhood I had seen my father, who was also a doctor, serving the people. So I also wanted to do that. And I started up with my practice there, and I was really happy with the satisfaction that I derived. At times I used to provide free consultations to the needy. And then I also joined a postgraduate diploma in public health. It was then that I realized that I'm working at a very superficial level. Health not only implies treating the sick. I was merely treating the symptoms of the disease. A person comes to me, I provide him medicine, and that is the best I was doing to the best of my abilities. If I joined civil services, it would offer me a much bigger platform because health, the determinants of health are in other sectors, like poverty, nutrition, at the level of education, sanitation, water. I had no control over them. So if I joined civil services, then I could impact a much larger number of people and put my expertise in medical education as well as my qualities of compassion, empathy towards the suffering of others, and then I could make a much more difference.
Between a specialist or expert in a particular area, like for instance health or engineering or medicine, well, that's health again. Between an expert and a generalist, who is not specialized in, say, engineering or medicine or some other speciality like business management, between the expert and the generalist, who would make a better administrator?
So civil services is basically a pool. It draws the best possible talent from all walks of life. So every person comes with his own abilities, with his own USPs. So it would be unfair to actually judge that who would be better. So everyone can contribute in a different manner. Everyone can contribute his or her expertise, and we can come up with the best possible solutions to the problems which are plaguing the country right now.
So you think civil services as a pool of people drawn from various areas? For instance, in a district, the district magistrate who is head of the entire administrative setup of the district. A teamwork like that would be better for administration.
Yes.
But then the problem arises when the question of heading the administration is there. The district magistrate or the collector is the head of the entire administration, and experts are subordinate to them. As a district magistrate, would you allow the health department or education department or public engineering department, would you allow the experts to have the final say, or would you also keep some discretionary power to yourself?
So I would definitely,
Because the final decision is to be made by the district magistrate. He or she is the final authority. You would be the final authority.
so what I can do is I can create a team of people from different departments, each one having a representative. So he'll be the in charge, and he'll coordinate with his own department, and then the best possible suggestions will be available with him. So whenever I'll have to take a decision, I can consult with this smaller team, and then we can arrive at a decision. So I can in that manner I'll have an expert opinion with me. I will have the best possible analysis, and then we can formulate the policies accordingly.
Oh, okay. Have I exceeded my time?
So you're fond of writing poetry?
Yes, sir.
Anything that you can want to recite for us?
So I write both in Hindi and English. And
Taking into account our age.
so there was this one poem that I wrote last year. Since this was my first attempt at civil services, and at times it becomes very hectic along with my responsibilities in the family. So it was just to motivate me, and that I'm going to recite it now. Success is very difficult. The path to success is very difficult. Some may take a shortcut, but I'll prefer the right path. Some may get there faster, but I'll get there stronger. Adversities will be my traveling companion, but I have the power and the guts not to deter and keep moving on the right path. All sorts of comments and insults will pierce my ears and wring my heart. But I'm sorry, I just skipped up. Just give me 2 minutes.
It's your own poem.
Yes, sir, just give me 2 minutes. I'll gather it. With such hardships to bear, I'll surely and certainly reach there, and that will be my day when I'll clench my fist and say that yes, I was indeed on the right path. I'll be on top of the world, for there'll be no more odds to conquer, and that will be the day when the world will prove of my might and agree to it that yes, my path was indeed right. I just missed the 2 stanzas, they just completely went away.
In your mind. Have you read Tagore?
No, sir, I haven't.
Gitanjali.
No, sir, I haven't.
There is a poem where the mind is without fear, the head is held high, where knowledge is free. Have you read this? 35th
Yes, sir, I have.
song in the Gitanjali,
Yes,
or
sir, I
poem
have
in the
read it.
Gitanjali,
I have read it, but
but don't remember.
I don't remember.
How do you like it?
I like it very much.
You like it very much. Have you read other poems in the Gitanjali?
I can't think of any poems right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was good, whatever it was. English medium drama shows, what does it mean?
So there shows like Grey's Anatomy, ER, House MD, they portray the trials and turbulence of the doctors in their personal lives and their professional lives. So kind of interests
There is
me a
specific
lot.
type of drama shows.
Yes, sir. It's a medical genre.
Hmm.
So the 3 I mentioned are examples of that. So I like that. I like watching that.
Now, extending on sir's question on medicine, it is by and large now known that the Western medical world tries to dominate other forms of medicine in a variety of ways, and that the practices that the Western medicine goes on to follow, as far as the marketing is concerned, as far as business is concerned, they are not fair. For example, a person goes on to get his blood pressure treated, he is somehow seeded with diabetes. When he goes on to get himself treated for diabetes, he is somehow seeded with some type of a heart element, so that he keeps on coming to the doctor off and on. Because heart attack and other things that have never been known to the human beings at all. And in some places like Hunza Valley in Hindu Kush Mountains, then Gilgit again in the same region, then Vietnam, then you have 3 islands in Greece, then you have Minas Gerais region, the western portion of Brazil, where people don't want to follow it. There is no concept of a doctor, absolutely no concept of a doctor. So they don't know what a doctor is. So certain things that we have known is that is human body is not meant to follow pill at all. And it is by and large the pollution aspects, maybe the polluting environment, it's the environment, or the Western medicine that allows people to fall ill and then they want to treat it. How much do you want to subscribe to this viewpoint?
So to say that a particular system of medicine is...
Can you substantiate it? If not, of course we'll be having reasons. If yes, give us more reasons.
So rather than the medical system, a particular medical system, making the people more ill, I would not actually substantiate to that point of view, but I would say that the present condition of the society that we are living in, the present lifestyle choices, the present levels of pollution, the present mental stress that we go through are the factors which aggravate the diseases. Earlier, the examples that you have given and the examples of the areas, these areas, all these issues are not that relevant. For example, in Delhi, everyone who is above 35 years of age, there was a study recently, has the lungs of a smoker. So a person who is living in hills, a person who is living in a proper environment doesn't have to go through all these things. So definitely a person who is in an urban area needs a much more a higher level of advanced medical care as compared to the persons who don't have to face all these problems.
Okay. Now, in this context, a certain type of practices that are still going to be followed. Let's say, considering that you're going to be having a substitute of a heart. So you have one heart to follow, and then there is another one that is substitute for it. Is it not that the doctors, some of the doctors go on to make your heart particularly sick, so that you have to fall sick and you have to allow your heart to fail?
So I don't think any doctor would actually go in for that, because the first thing that we are treated in
And
medicine
doctors are businessmen then? What differentiates a doctor from a businessman?
So it can
Is
be
it a
that
profession?
it is a profession, and it is a very noble profession, I would rather say.
It's a noble profession, it's a noble thought. Supposing I am a doctor, my profession is noble, but when I go on to see my patients, my intent is that, so he has a very good kidney, let's keep it in my pocket. Right? When your stomach is open and my intent is wrong. So how is it that the noble profession is noble? It is the intent that is noble, not the profession. You're going to take a teacher. Your aim is to reform these students, and going to think that now I have 5, 6, 10, 20 students, I am going to have a greater amount of money, teach them whatever that they're going to like. So is it not that in this case the intent matters more than the profession as such? It's not that the profession, every profession is noble. Every profession is noble if you do it in a noble manner. It's the intent that matters, not the act.
So this is the intent of a very small proportion, of a very minuscule proportion.
But then you
of
subscribe to this part, that is, intent is significant in this case.
So yes, intent is significant.
And intent can go to make any profession noble or not noble.
So it won't affect the entire profession.
Okay, being a priest is a noble profession or not?
Yes.
But then if the priests go on to be having some nefarious designs, then
So it is that particular individual who is at fault. We cannot blame the entire profession, or we cannot.
we are not blaming it. That's the reason. We never blame the profession. We only said that is for every profession is noble. It's the intent that is noble or not.
So the intent, it may vary from one individual to another. So
Yes, that's right. So it's intent that is not noble or not or noble, not profession.
yes.
So you like to change your viewpoint,
So
or still go by that fact that is medicine is a very noble profession,
medicine is a very noble profession.
and which is not noble. Let's say I'm a businessman, and my job is to earn money. Why is it not noble?
So there is no problem in earning money,
Then why
but
it is not noble? I do it I do it in a very honest manner, right? Why is it not noble? I'm a runner, I'm an athlete. Why that is not noble?
so
I'm a driver. I go on to be completely devoted to my job. Why that is not noble? I take care of my car, I take care of my Swami, I take care of my master. Why that is not noble? I'm a camera person and I'm completely devoted. I go on to drink, eat and sleep my pictures, my images. Why that is not noble?
So, being devoted to your job and doing it to the best of your abilities is definitely a very good quality, and one should always strive to do that and aspire to do that.
That's hypothetical situation. the question remains the same. Is it that the profession is noble, or is it that the intent is noble?
Is it you, it is the person who makes a profession noble, or is a profession noble in itself?
So a good intent, it makes a profession noble.
Okay. So,
What, but what makes medicine so special? Can you explain that? Why is medicine often considered to be, you yourself have been saying, so what makes it so special?
So when our body is in pain, then it is a doctor who provides us solace from that. When our life is in danger, it is a doctor who uses his knowledge, uses his expertise to the best possible, to his best possible abilities, and try and revive the person. So saving a life is definitely a very important and a very good task. So I think that is the reason.
You also subject is anthropology.
Yes.
Now, some of the discussion that took place here seemed to suggest that health problems are often associated, your statement also, with lifestyle. Why are the health conditions of the tribals in India so poor? It's not a lifestyle-related issue. What is the problem? Are you aware that the health conditions of tribals are particularly bad?
Yes.
So, how do we explain that?
So in anthropology, we believe that the health-seeking behavior of a person, it depends on a lot of factors. How they perceive to a particular disease. What is a disease according to them? A particular condition is even considered a disease and not considered a disease with other people as well.
The linkage between lifestyle and health. Tribals' lifestyle would presumably be very natural even today, Central India, etc. Much closer to nature than the type of environment that we have in Delhi, where you said the pollution levels are high. That is not likely to be the case in Bastar or Chhattisgarh. So why is it that the health conditions, health indicators are found to be extremely poor for the tribals?
So the first and foremost reason it can be that tribals, especially in Andamans, they are entirely
We
secluded.
don't Central India. Focus on, say, areas like Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, areas like this. What would be the problem?
So our health facilities, we are not able to reach those remote areas even now. We cannot provide infrastructure in such remote areas. In Assam, there is a majority of the tribal population, but it is very much scattered. Over an area of 10 kilometers, the hutments are at a distance of 1 kilometer or 1.5 kilometers. So providing medical health care to them is a definitely very difficult task. One of the reasons is that. Secondly, they don't come and seek treatment for a wide number of disorders, because they try and heal them in a traditional manner. So that can be the reason for this. And
are you convinced with your reason? To such question, are you convinced with the reason that you gave?
yes, sir.
Is it the tribal environment in which the tribals live that is the crucial factor in the question that Mr. Singh asked, or is it the larger social system or political system or economic system which is responsible for the bad condition or poor condition of the tribals in India, or bad health of the tribals in India?
So it is a combination of all the factors.
The environs as well as the systems. As an administrator, how do you try to address this problem?
Of poor health.
Suppose poor health of the tribals. Suppose you are the district magistrate of Jhabua or in a district in Chhattisgarh. How do you try to address this problem as an administrator so that their health improves?
So we can, first of all, I would like to have a proper survey of the existing health conditions which are there, and then we would prioritize what needs to be dealt at the most urgent, in a most urgent manner.
Would you first start a stock taking of government laws, public policies, programs for tribal development that are already there, or would you start from scratch? You are planning a survey, a first-hand survey. So, would you start with a first-hand survey, or would you start with a stock taking of the laws and public policies that you are there to administer? Better implementation of those laws and policies, or taking a first-hand survey in the first place. Which of the two would you prefer?
So I would prefer the second option,
Okay.
and then we can, so that we know how to go about it, and we can formulate a strategy regarding the same. We can take help of, we can involve the village councils or the tribal councils which are already there, because they play a very important part in the social setup of the tribals, and they are very influential. Then we can train our manpower in such a small, short training programs of like around 15 days, 20 days, so that they are more sensitive towards their needs, so that they can infer how to deal with them, and we can find out the areas of least resistance where we can implement our policies, because any policy or any intervention, if it is implemented and it faces a stiff resistance from them and it is not acceptable to them culturally, socially, they would not go for it. Then we can motivate, or we can identify the tribal people themselves who have a basic level of qualification, and then we can involve them in our process, and they can act as our messengers, and they can act and they can influence the people, and so that they come to us and seek treatment and seek proper health care. So in this manner we can,
I suppose you should not give the first option altogether. That should also, your initiative and drive will carry you ahead of other officers. So in addition to the existing policies and programs, do apply your mind to the problem, what you can do, what difference you can make. That is also important.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Pragya. I will go to give you a call to give you feedback. Right?
Not as good as I had expected it to be. I fumbled a lot.
Sir? What should we make? Okay, how can I get it? Instead of following it, we use the-
Like you said, sir, now we have talked about your weaknesses, the strength, and what suggestions that we can go to give it to you. One of them is that is your hand movement, using your gesture a bit too much, and that is visible. I mean, that is above the table, and that is pretty visible to the board. And this is something that you have to curtail. That's something that you have to curtail. That's one. Certain things like when you're going to be talking about it, you're going to be talking about adhesive, give me 2 minutes. The better thing would be that is, can I have 2 minutes to think of it? This is a language that is going to make it much better.
Let me think about it. Let me think about it. And take a pause and then respond. So that you are not caught unawares. Yeah.
You clearly faltered on the poetry part.
Yes, sir.
Right, because see, you are always going to be judged on the basis of what you have written, not on the basis of what you have not written.
Yes.
You understand? This is something that you are claiming,
Yes.
and you cannot afford to be loose on that at all. You also faltered on the profession part. It's not the profession that is novel, it's the people who are going to make a profession novel, not exactly the profession per se. I hope you realize that now. Right? Any profession can be novel if it is done in a novel manner. Tribal health was another part where you went into further. You should have come up with a much better answer, sir. We'll let you know. What could have been the best answer, sir?
I see ultimately came around, but this is an intersection of two areas from your background. One is your anthropology, the other one is your medical history. So these these are the types of things that will frequently come up in interviews, where they're looking at your ability to apply one aspect of your skills. You've also talked a lot about community health, etc. in your various things. So that's why these types of things become important. It's not a clear-cut type of situation. So it's not that there is a standardized answer, but it did not appear to be very convincing the way you put it until you came around to the in terms of facilities, etc. But you could have done a better job in terms of identifying some factors, broader factors. It's not just a question of being natural. It's also a question, for example, of infectious diseases, for example. The load of infectious disease burden is pretty high among the tribals. Lack of, in terms of say, vaccination, etc. The facilities are relatively poor. Whether it is IUS or whether it is allopathic systems, I don't think the services are adequate in tribal areas. So these are the types of things that you could have identified a bit briefly, based on both your anthropology and your public health ideas. But become a bit clearer on this. These are the types of things that you're very likely to pick out, given your background and your subject. So the combination gives you, and also look a bit further at anthropology plus your particular background, medical background. That also would lead into areas like medical ethics, etc. Think a bit about that also. Some questions did come up.
Yes.
You're not very convincing there either.
That's right.
In terms of talking about these professors do have ethical values, and well, how well they are enforced is another matter. But that's part of the profession. And your interest in that medical drama, I think that could also be explored a bit further. Okay, so keep.
Actually, on Western medicine, how is it that it is going to be colonizing people in a sense? We can go to say that is it has certain aspects that require to be taken immediate care of. And there is a good amount of a debate that is raging on in the country right now because it goes to treat the symptoms, not the disease as such, Western medicine. So maybe that is you are given one medicine that will go to only not exactly cure you. There are certain medicines that can go to actually cure you, but then these are some of the type of debates that are raging on in the medical circles. This is something that you must need to know. There is someone who may not be fond of Western medicine at all. Your strength and other things have been attitude, your strength, confidence, your strength, look like confident, you look very balanced, poised. This is your strength. I mean, you have to play to your greatest advantage. Side looks good on you as well. And suggestions, one of them the sir talked about, and when Kissing sir talked about as well, that is think about the answer before you go to venture out. And of course, it's a 30-minute interview, there are a lot of things couldn't have been asked, but then you need to brush up on almost all of these hobbies. Plus, of course, any type of affair, national or international affair, you have to take up that. You have to be very, very particular about that. Right? You have to be very particular about that. So, try to gauge an in-depth analysis of some of the topics, international affairs, national affairs. It's a lifetime opportunity. In 30 minutes, whatever that you have learned in your entire life, that is what exactly
anything could come up. That is right.
So don't leave any stone unturned. Even if it goes out to be costing you, let's say, some amount of money, anything on that type, because nothing is more important than your career. Nothing is more.
But some of the things were very positive. You display a relative positive attitude in general, which is good. Your personality comes through in a fairly pleasant manner. These are the advantages that you will have. Now you have to build up a bit on the, let's say, your logical analysis and expression and so on the type of issues that they will come up with. Okay, so you have to improve that a bit. Poetry, etc. Of course, that was a bit damaging.
Yes,
because that's your hobby and your area of interest. You get confused in the middle. That certainly
I cannot
creates a bad
afford to
impression.
do that.
So that
All
creates a
three
bad impression.
poetry, medicine,
The areas which are supposed to be your areas of competence, that's the problem. If you don't know anything about, let's say, something very abstract about a capital issue, that's forgivable. These are supposed to be areas of your competence. That is the difficulty. Anyway, I think.
And a bit more, try to improve your information level. Like for instance, Andhra Pradesh divided And from December 2009 to the present, the issue of creation of Telangana has been so widely debated in the press, in the media. You could have been more receptive to not only the description of the event or policy, but also analytical part of it. When you correlate information, analytical part comes when you answer why question, why this, why not this. Description is what question. These are the factors on which the states will be created. When you start correlating things, well, if there is a tie between, say, fiscal viability and cultural factor, or if there is a tie between, say, administrative convenience and political factors or political management or effect on other states. So when you correlate things, analytical part comes in. So be open to information at the level of description as well as at the level of analysis. Read more. Yeah.
This is something just going to put your signature on that part. I'm going to discuss this aspect with you. Okay?
I have to sign
yes,
that?
that's your assessment chart.